Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. We're GabNet, and we've got you covered live 5 nights a week. First Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern, it's The Exchange.
Let's capture, who are all these people who are watching these cooking shows? They're stoners, right? So I'm wondering, is this a program that Netflix has absorbed? I don't know, what is the purpose of Netflix making a 14-minute show? Now, aside from those 2 interesting facts about this show, the show is fucking terrible. Do not watch this show. It fucking sucks.
Tuesday through Friday at 10 Eastern, join Alex Bennett on the Ramble.
Say goodbye to the unions.
Renee, what was the decision? And then we'll go to Patrick.
It doesn't matter. Just say goodbye to the unions.
No. But I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you what was in the decision yesterday.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay, let me look it up.
Yeah, he'll go look it up at GlennBeck.com.
Tuesday through Friday at midnight, The Intersection.
Most high school boys, what have we got on our mind? Sex and girls and sex and sex and sex.
And booze and drugs.
Yeah, the Asian guys I knew in high school, I'm sure they thought that way, but perhaps they were more disciplined about it. Although there was this Japanese girl in high school that your old friend, the Black Avenger, had the hots for. Oh, my God. Be still my sake wanting to drink self.
If you like sports, we've got that too, with The Arena, Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Well, and even if you did that, it doesn't give you the right to grab your Uber driver's private. I mean, and like, what part of that to him sounded like a good idea?
Oh, she played a special song.
Catch up on all the shows with our weekend flashback. All shows have the Citizen Panel, an exclusive concept of GabNet. It's new, it's daring, it's talk like you've never heard it before. Spotify has 180 million monthly users and access to 35 million songs and podcasts. Now, all those offerings are going to have to move over and make room for GabNet programming. Yes, at long last, Alex Bennett's Ramble, Damian Chaplin's Exchange, Jack Bishop's The Intersection, and even the franchise MC's Arena and Michael Snyder's weekly movie reviews will be fighting for space on this massive platform. Each day, the programs are updated, so you can hear them on the Spotify app, available for all smartphones and game consoles. Or you can just go to Spotify on the web at Spotify.com. So, give us a shot on Spotify. There's a 35 million to 5 chance we'll get people to listen to talk like they've never heard it before. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey! Hello, everybody. How are you? It's the Ramble, and I am Alex Bennett, and we're going to be here until what time? We're going to be here till about midnight Eastern time on the United States, on the right side of the United States of America, New York City, New York. The city's so nice they named it twice. But you know what we do every now and then? Once every 3 weeks, life really blossoms because we get to talk to Will Durst. I got my coffee.
I got my coffee.
That's Will Durst, and we are the Coffee Twins.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing? What's your brand today that you're drinking?
Oh, they got this thing that they only sell in the beginning of the year, and it's called Supernatural.
Supernatural. Oh, yeah. Really? Is that Pete's?
It's Pete's, and it's got a bit of a a blueberry through thing going.
A blueberry note, as they would say.
Yeah, yes. a hint of chocolate and a dash.
So it's called Supernatural. Can you buy it ground?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to send away for it. On your recommendation.
Cool. I don't know if it's still being available. I bought all mine in January.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, does Peach just do this kind of stuff where they
they do 2 months of a special coffee and then they start over and do another one.
Yeah. Starbucks is pretty much the same all the time. What I'm drinking here is Death Wish coffee.
Death Wish.
Cool. Get it in cups from K-cups from Amazon, and it says it's the strongest coffee in the world. Bullshit.
Oh, really?
No, you know something? No coffee seems to wake me up anymore. Maybe I'm dead and I don't know it.
Quit for 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
No coffee at all. For 2 weeks.
Oh, God.
I know. I know.
Could I do it? I don't think so. I don't know.
And then when you start back, you could start at a really low level.
Yeah. And that will give me the boost I need?
Yeah. You know what I find is Pete's darkest, strongest is the French roast.
The French roast.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll try that. I also got these K-cups of Starbucks Plus. It's supposedly 2 times the caffeine.
I did not know they did that.
Yeah, they do that, and it doesn't do a thing for me. I do better just buy a normal Pete's. I can't remember what the name of it is I'm using, but something De La Tierra or something like that.
De La Tierra.
Yeah, and which I love. It's a great coffee. But anyway, this is the Death Wish coffee. So if I drop dead while we're talking, So of course,
how you doing? How's New York? Is it cold?
Oh, it's been really weird. It snows like a motherfucker. Okay, and then by the next morning, the snow is gone. It's very strange. It's warm, it's cold, it's warm, it's cold. It snows, it doesn't. Then it rains, and the rain washes away the snow, and it's very weird. I mean, I would love it to either be a winter wonderland out there or spring.
Make up your mind.
Yeah, don't fuck with me. I'm sorry. I'm too old for this getting fucked with. Okay? So how you doing, Mr. Durst?
Well, see, that's the great thing about San Francisco. Because, I grew up in Wisconsin. I grew up in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of weeks ago, it was negative 22 degrees in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin.
Oh, boy.
And it was 57 degrees here in San Francisco. And then this summer, it'll be 110 degrees. Like in July or August. But it'll be 110 degrees in Sturgeon Bay. And in San Francisco, it'll be 57.
57 degrees. Actually, San Francisco, sometimes you go, boy, we're having a heat wave when it's 90.
Yeah.
But it very rarely gets to that. Usually, I always said about San Francisco, it's the world's only air-conditioned city. You can have a hot day, 90 degrees, nighttime comes, the fog rolls in, you're down to 57.
Yeah.
Right? Very seldom see.
We had one day 2 years ago in 2016 or 2017. I can't remember. It was September 8th. Mm-hmm. It got up to the highest recorded temperature in the history of San Francisco. It was 106. And I think in San Francisco, it's only gotten into triple digits 3 or 4 times in all recorded history. So this was 106, and people were confused. they were lying prone on the sidewalk, seeking the deep cool.
What was the temperature again?
106.
Oh my God! Yeah. Well, at 106, we would be screaming here in New York City too. I mean,
I was there in August of 87,
mm-hmm.
and it got up to be 103, and we were taping our first album at Stand Up New York,
Mm-hmm.
and it was me and Jimmy Tingle and Barry Crimmins and Jim Morris, I think, the four of us.
Mm-hmm.
And Buddy Mora had put together this label called Black Rose or something. And they did one for female comics, which was taped in L.A. But we did 2 shows, and the audience had to stand in line, and it was 103 degrees.
Hey.
The smell of hot urine. You know?
Well, the trouble with New York is, if it gets hot in San Francisco, to begin with, humidity is not a major factor.
Right.
Okay, in New York City, humidity is hell. I mean, you can't keep a crease in your pants. It's terrible.
Everything you wear feels like greasy saran wrap.
Yeah, and also there's the factor of the concrete. This is a city that's completely surrounded by concrete. It's below you on the ground. It's on either side of you with the buildings. There's no. You could go out to Central Park and get a little relief from that. And I often thought that the best description of this kind of heat that we have in New York was the beginning of the Lovin' Spoonful song "Summer in the City." That ba-dum. That is how it feels. Yeah.
Hot town, summer in the city, back my neck, feeling dirty and gritty.
Yeah. And boy, it can get oppressive here in New York City during the summer. That's why we all have air conditioners. We don't have air conditioners. We never had air conditioners in San Francisco. We open the windows.
Well, that's one of the problems when it does get hot. Nobody has air conditioning. Even the stores don't have air conditioning.
Well, you know what has happened is that most buildings now, you remember in office buildings, if it was a hot day, you'd open up the windows and you get the draft.
Now you can't.
The draft would go through, but they build buildings now so you can't open windows because they don't want employees committing suicide. Yeah. So because of that, we now consume incredible amounts of air conditioning. Prior to the air conditioning thing, 50s, you never thought about having an air conditioner. Not in San Francisco, at least.
No, you just open the window.
Yeah, and here in New York, like in this apartment, because it's an old building, I have flow-through air. I mean, I can open up the windows and get a nice circulation going. But most apartments, you can't do that now. What?
Do you have air conditioning?
I have air conditioners. They're in the windows. Yeah, but that's it. No, we don't have any central air conditioning. So anyway, a couple of things to talk about because this is our political wonk here.
Oh.
Yeah. Guy does political comedy for a living. Give up your day job. So this has got to have been a good couple of weeks for you.
It just keeps moving.
I mean, the guy, Trump is the gift that keeps on giving.
I write a column, and I do a commentary, and so I'll record a commentary on Thursday, because some radio stations run it on Friday morning, and then that's Thursday night, about 300 words, 2 minutes long, and then on Sunday I turn that into a column.
Yeah,
and the column gets syndicated by a bunch of by a syndicator called Kagel Cartoons. So I get that to him on Monday. So I got Friday, Saturday, Sunday to revamp it, and I can't get it to him Saturday because all the papers decide so just because of the deadlines and stuff, nobody's working Saturday or Sunday. So if I couldn't finish it on Friday in time so that they could run it on the weekend, so I just wait until Monday. But that gives me 3 extra days, and by the time I write the column, it's dead. It's dead. It's old news. He's been getting complaints from from newspapers that the State of the Union was last Tuesday and this is Monday, and now you're doing State of the Union, and so much shit has happened between then and now.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, this week, I wrote a column this week, and then what happened? You had him go to to North Korea, and then you had the testimony by Michael Cohen. So, it was also, yeah.
Jeez almighty. Well, for instance, we had the Michael Cohen testimony.
Right.
And now they're nitpicking his testimony. Oh, he lied. What did he lie about? Well, he said he never asked the president for a pardon. But it turns out his lawyers had made the approach to them saying, would that be in the possibilities? And the White House said no. Okay. So was that Michael Cohen lying, or was it just that his lawyers did something he didn't know about?
Doesn't matter. They'll say he's lying by saying, oh, you said you parked in the spot next to the stairwell. No, that's a handicap spot. You parked on the other side, and there's an actual.
And so you lied to Congress.
So you lied.
Yeah.
They just want to say that he lied. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, they're accusing him of lying. Well, he's a convicted liar. Yeah, but what he lied about was to keep Donald Trump out of trouble. So you're yelling at him for helping Donald Trump. Yeah. And now he's telling the truth. I mean, if hypocrisy were coal, these guys would be West Virginia.
Oh boy, yeah. I just think that when I watch those hearings, not one Republican asked a question.
No,
they all just accused him. I mean,
yeah.
And there's where did somebody write in a book somewhere? Oh, I forgot to turn on my little light here. Where in the book does it say that Republicans have to be apologists for Trump? I mean,
the same book where it said Republicans had to be apologists for Nixon. Because in the beginning, until John Dean came along,
yeah,
and they discovered about the tapes, and then everything was kind of over at that point. There was a hearing like this.
Yeah.
The same exact thing happened. You had Republicans attacking the messenger. They're killing the messenger instead of the guy with no clothes.
But I mean, they seem to just be apologists. And when it came to this hearing, okay, one or two of you can say, hey, you're a liar, pants on fire. But then ask some questions. And they didn't ask any questions. They just accused. And now it's back to the Democrats who then, probably the only one who really was asking serious questions was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, I thought she had interesting questions because they actually elicited new information, whereas everybody else was going over the old information.
Yeah, I mean, she did her homework. Isn't it amazing how she has had an impact, and she's only been in Congress for a little over a month?
Yeah, but it's also interesting how the Minnesota Muslim female has been in trouble twice already. And everybody's scrambling, having to make up for her.
If she went to a Starbucks and they said, do you want a bagel? And she said no, they'd say she was anti-Semitic. I mean, come on. She is going to have an opinion about Israel. There's no question about it. I have an opinion about Israel, and it's much closer to hers than it is to, Schumer's.
The first time she got in trouble was she said, we're going to impeach the motherfucker. And I got no problem with that.
I got no problem with that.
She said the MF word. Oh, fuck you. There's the FY word. How about that?
Yeah, fuck you. So I mean, so they're going after her because she is Muslim and she has an opinion. I mean, I happen to share some of the same opinions she has about Israel and about the way they've been treating the rest of their neighbors over the years.
So you think it's all about the Benjamins?
Oh, I think it's always about the Benjamins. It's actually an anti-Semitic concept that Jews are rich, and that if we keep the Jews happy, we'll get money for our campaign. Make sense?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they find out that Netanyahu's been stealing or doing something terrible.
What are the odds?
Yeah.
Maybe.
You know how he got his name, don't you? BB. Is it merger of Netscape and Yahoo?
Netanyahu.
Anyway.
You knucklehead, get out of here.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's.
What happens?
Yeah.
What happens? What do you think?
What do you mean?
Well, the House committee sent out 80 subpoenas, or want documents from 80 different people yesterday.
Oh, what's going to happen? They've got to tread carefully. I don't think they want to be perceived as going after the president, but they want information that they've been denied in the past, tax returns, things like that. Things that they should be able to have access to. And that's what but they can't let themselves be perceived as being, on the hunt for the president, out to.
So that's why they're trying to tamp down all talk of impeachment?
Well, yeah, I think impeachment should be the last word you say. Okay, if you're going to be smart about this.
I think they're going to try to beat him and kick him in the head until November 2020. I don't think they want to make him a martyr and put him on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And point at him. I think they just want to tie him down and kick him in the head.
What did you think about the Trump moment this week at what was that, CPAC? Where
2 hour rant.
Well, but he started off by hugging the American flag.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great.
God bless it. He doesn't even know how to be a conservative.
He's just a naked asshole is what he is, and he has no shame, and he doesn't care who knows it. I mean, nobody else would hug the American flag and do that beatific kind of, I mean, people would have shame, they would think, oh, this is a cheap ploy. I don't want to be seen as doing this. He doesn't care. There's nothing cheap enough for him.
And then he gave a 2-hour speech, and the only thing that said to me and was reminiscent to me of is that's the kind of thing that, for instance, dictators do. Is it a 2 hour and 20-minute speech?
They got their people in front of them, and Fidel Castro will go on for 5 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he'll have people come and replace people standing in the audience like seat fillers at the Oscars.
Yeah. So I mean, so that was the story with Trump. It was like a dictator giving one. Maduro does 2-hour speeches, and they all tried to be funny at times. I mean, it's very dictator-like. I don't know that Hitler gave speeches that long. My
World War II history is kind of empty.
I don't think they were 2 hours long because I think his speeches were well crafted. They were crafted before he went out on stage. But
he reminds me of, I'm a stand-up comic. I always wanted to be a stand-up comic, and I always thought it was kind of an art form to aspire to. And I've always seen it as the first refuge for people on the way down. Soap opera stars, and Joey Buttafuoco went on a stand-up comedy tour, and Kato Kalin went on a stand-up comedy tour, and now Stormy Daniels is going out on a stand-up comedy tour. I don't know why. Why wouldn't she hang in the stripper?
All she has to do to make a lot of money is show her tits.
Yeah,
or what are supposedly her tits.
Now, did her appeal go down at strip clubs that she's backing into?
What would you
it's like
if you
on the downside of fame, and they're jonesing for one last fix to have that audience.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Okay, you're a comic. You know what it takes to be a comic. You know what kind of money there is in being a comic. If you were a woman, would you make more money being a comic or a stripper?
One has a long-term advantage.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, not necessarily.
Your body is gonna not want to be reflected by those Klieg lights. You're gonna want it's gonna get drafty.
Yeah, but in the short fall, Okay, because comedy sometimes doesn't last that long either. How many people do you know came into comedy and no longer in it, right?
Yeah.
So where would you make more money, being a stripper or being a stand-up comic? Just if you were the average stand-up comic.
Depends on what kind of crowd you can get at both.
Yeah. But on the average, let's say you're starting out in comedy.
Well, she's not starting out. She's headlining a club in Houston.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Is that what it takes?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that what it takes? She hasn't had to work her way up. She hasn't had to be an opening act.
It's like that poor kid, Dat Pham. Remember when he won Last Laugh or whatever that TV show was?
I don't even know who Dat Pham was.
Yeah, he was the first winner, and the poor kid only had 7 minutes, and now he's headlining. And who's writing Stormy's material? I would like to help write Stormy's material.
Oh God, you should.
Yeah,
because let's face it, what's she going to go up and make jokes about, right?
Yeah,
got to make jokes about Trump. So
and I have some good ones, and no one's hearing them.
You can give her all the stuff you don't use.
No, I can give her all the stuff I do use. It won't matter. I don't think our audiences have much, intersection.
But the problem is that once you
Yeah.
give it to her, you can't use it anymore.
Yeah.
I remember Feldman was writing for Bill Maher, and anything he wrote for Bill Maher for the TV show or for his personal act or whatever, he couldn't use. It was now Bill Maher's.
Whether Bill used it or not.
Yes.
And that's the frustrating part, is when you write a great line.
Roy Cohn. Most evil man I ever
Roy
met.
Didn't have the E. He was too cheap for the E.
Yeah.
He was just C-O-H-N.
Roy Cohn was the most evil man I've ever met.
Oh, you met him?
Oh, I debated him.
When? Where? Why?
I was on the Barry Farber show, and he invited me over to just have a discussion with Roy Cohn. So I said, sure. And I go up, and I meet this guy. He had eyes that were shark eyes. They were there was no life in those eyes. It was scary. It was like me. Somebody said this once. I said this, and then I found out that somebody else said the same exact thing. He said, I never met the devil till I met Roy Cohn.
Wow.
I felt I was meeting the devil.
Wow.
Did
he have a sense of humor?
No, none whatsoever. And I said to him at one point, I said, you're responsible for the death of the Rosenbergs. And I'm not going to go into the Rosenbergs for those of you out there who don't know who the Rosenbergs were, but it was a big cause célèbre, and they were executed.
Ethel and Julius.
Yeah. And he said, well, if I had a chance to do it again, I would. And he just looked at me with those shark eyes when he said it. And it just, this chill went down my spine.
He said, if I had a chance to do it again, I would?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he didn't even pause. It was the immediate reply to me. And that was, by the way, folks, that was Donald Trump's mentor.
And he admits it.
One of the most evil human beings alive. So evil, they did a whole play, Angels in America, about him dying. Wow. And gay.
And his precepts were never explain.
Yeah.
Never apologize.
Right.
And constantly attack.
Right.
And
right.
we see this.
Yeah.
We see
and
this.
Also deny you're gay. While
At 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, we see this.
Yeah, but deny you're gay. This is what he did all this. I mean, this is what Angels in America is about, was his denial of his gayness. And then the fact that he was always putting down the gay community. He was always putting down gays, He was a terrible. He was
like J. Edgar.
Terrible person. There goes your phone. Is that mine? Yeah. Everybody always looks at their phone when they hear that sound. Is it me? Is it you? Because it's electronic is what it is. Can we run over a little bit here? Because I just want one more snippet.
I'm in. I'm up. Yeah.
He's up. We'll do all night, okay? Because this goes on at night.
Who had that show, Up All Night?
Up All Night. That wasn't No, who was that?
Rhonda Shear? Was that Rhonda Shear?
I can't remember.
Some woman.
Yeah, but anyway, the other thing was his meeting with Kim Jong-un. This all happened in 1 week.
Yeah.
He gets around. What are your takeaways from that?
Well, it was still a win-win because he got to prove that he could walk away from a deal, and Kim Jong-un got to go to Vietnam and eat food. So they both had a great photo op.
I love how of course Trump takes the plane, but Kim Jong-un took the train.
Really?
Yes, he took a train from North Korea
to Vietnam.
It took him 2 days, I think.
No shit.
That thing was traveling at 35 miles an hour. Yeah, really.
He walked.
He could have walked faster. And then
Trump. The great thing about Trump was, it was a 20-hour flight to North Korea or to Vietnam, and then a 20-hour flight back. So he was off Twitter during the whole Michael Cohen thing for 2 periods of entire days.
But can't he tweet from Air Force One? I mean, don't they have that capability?
He probably could.
Yeah, he probably. I think. In fact, I think he did actually. But anyway, the whole Kim Jong-un thing. I feel that Kim Jong-un is the one who walked away. That he wasn't getting a deal, and he just walked away because all of a sudden it went. Boom! It just crashed. It just stopped. Yeah.
Well, we'll never know unless one of the interpreters writes their memoirs.
Yeah.
Because neither one of these guys will ever admit. To losing face or defeat. So we'll never know.
Yeah.
We'll never know what happened.
The best part about Kim Jong-un, and this is the great game to play. The old books, Where's Waldo?
Yeah.
Well, what you do is in any given photograph of Kim Jong-un at some reception or whatever, you look for where's Kim Jong-un's sister. Now,
oh, really?
Yeah, because there are certain photographs.
The one who went to the Olympics.
There are pictures of her like peeking around corners while he's somewhere or being way back in the crowd. It's always like, find her in the photograph. Now, she is the person. This is her job. She's the one that carries around the crystal ashtray. So when he smokes, she puts it out in front of him so he can drop the ashes in the crystal ashtray.
Wow.
Well, she needs a lot more recognition for a job well done.
It reminds me of, I can't remember which heavyweight champion it was, Evander Holyfield or the guy who kept hitting Randall Tex Cobb in the head, Larry Holmes. But they had these huge retinues and contingents, and they only had one white guy on the entire contingent, and that was the guy to carry the spit bucket.
Oh boy, yeah.
Because you got to have the guy carrying the spit bucket.
These are jobs you don't want, okay?
No.
Yeah.
Larry Holmes, spit bucket carrier.
Yeah. Well, as always, it is always a pleasure to do business with you, Mr.
Shaw,
Durst.
the honor has been mine.
Oh,
Thank
no,
you,
the
Alex
honor
Bennett.
is mine.
No, I beg to differ.
Oh, nay, sir.
Pshaw.
Pshaw. We
no,
can do
1,000 times.
We can do this all day, ladies and gentlemen. And would make for some boring broadcasting. Hey, listen, talk to you in about 3 weeks again, huh?
Hope to. Yeah. In the meantime, stay safe.
Ladies and gentlemen, there he is. That's Will Durst. Bye, Will.
Bye, Alex.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
And that's our good friend Will Durst. Thank you so much, Will, for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Okay. All righty. Let me see here. We got to open up the Skype lines here. I have to every Monday. I have to remember how I do everything here. Let me see here. There we go, and I'll open the lines. There we go. It's open. Let me clean up a few things here that I got to do. Just not stuff that you should be bothered by. Our Skype lines are open, and our Skype line is, in case you were wondering, our Skype line is Gabnet Live. That's our ID. Here comes Jeff immediately, first, right out of the box, ladies and gentlemen. It's our old friend. And there he is, Jeff Stein, and also calling now is Charlie Wallace, who's joining us. So we have a panel of two now. Now remember, everybody, it's a fill-free couple of weeks, I guess, is what we've been told. He's out. Somebody got their thing on. I think you, Charlie. Charlie.
Do I have what?
Some audio slapping back on me, and I think it's coming from you. Well, no. Seems to be gone now. Yeah, okay, we're fine. Okay, I don't care. You know. But anyway, let me see here. Let me get the panel. Here we go. There we go. I want to put up my little logo here so that you. What was that? Again.
I just plugged in.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Anyway, there's Charlie and there's Jeff, and I was saying that Phil is not going to be here for a couple of weeks. He's out being eaten by sharks. So it's you can call and not worry about being able to breathe for space here. Hello, Rob Alfano.
Hey.
Turn up your mic. I can't hear you.
Oh.
What? You can't even hear you hardly. What? Something not plugged in?
It's plugged in. How about that?
A little more.
How about that?
That's better. That's much better.
Okay.
Yeah. How you doing, Rob?
Good. Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, we were in Florida over the weekend.
What were you doing in Florida?
Went to a baseball game and a party.
Baseball.
So we left Thursday and came back Sunday.
Whose baseball game?
Yankee game.
Yankee game. Oh, okay. Yeah. Of course, you're a big Yankee fan, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Was this spring training, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And who were they playing?
Baltimore.
Okay. So was it a good game? Did you have a good time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Well,
I've never been down to spring training before, so.
Well, now you're one of two people I know is going to spring training, because I just talked to Will Durst, and he's going to spring training in Scottsdale to go see the Giants in spring training.
Oh, there you go.
And how much does it cost to get to it? And you were saying, Charlie, that it was $80, and Durst agreed with you. Okay,
yeah.
That's about right.
About right.
Yeah.
Now, what does it cost?
And I had we were one row behind the Yankee dugout, so there were $900 seats at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that what they would be at
$69 a ticket.
Because what's the cheapest ticket you can get into a ball game for here in New York?
I think about $20.
Really? And where's that? Up? You get a nosebleed up there?
Yeah.
You're sitting next to a guy's flying the night mail to St. Louis?
Yeah, and maybe the bleacher seats are a little cheaper.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
There's not as many bleachers as there used to be.
Yeah.
Now, when you say bleachers, see, I don't mind baseball. I like baseball as a game. I don't follow it, and I'm not really particularly up on the nomenclature of baseball. But I love baseball stories, baseball movies, baseball documentaries. I mean, it's crazy. And I like occasionally going to a baseball game because it's a very social occasion with your. Meantime, people are sending hot dogs your way and beer your way, and in my case, soda my way.
Right.
And you're talking with your friends about the world around you and how have you been? How's the wife and kids? And then all of a sudden, something happens. Wow, something happened. And then it's back to waiting for something to happen again. Right?
Yeah.
But all in all, I consider it one of the greatest American pastimes because it's a very sociable occasion. Even with people you don't know, might be sitting next to you. everybody's very friendly and very amiable to each other, and it's just everybody got together to watch this thing happening out in the pasture.
Yeah, and like in my case, the weather was 80 degrees and beautiful weather. It was just gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah.
It was an evening game, 6:30 start.
Yeah.
So you weren't fried in the sun, and it was great.
Well, Marjorie and I have talked about getting out of New York, but we can't find the exit.
We actually drove.
You actually drove?
Oh, wow.
I drove like 19 hours straight Thursday. I left at 6 in the morning and got there at 9:30 at night.
Wow. And how many days did you stay there?
Well, we were going to stay until Sunday morning, but there was some threat of 8 inches of snow back here.
Yeah.
So we left Saturday.
So how long were you there?
We got there Thursday night, and we left Saturday at about 7 p.m. And I drove straight through to 9 o'clock Sunday morning. We were home.
So between the two trips, you did about 40 hours of driving to stay there for about 40 hours.
That's about right.
Wow. You know, if I'm going to drive that far, I'm going to stay there for quite a while.
It was a test because I hate flying.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about, and I have to go to Orlando a lot for work. And so I've been threatening that I was going to drive there.
Yeah.
But I've learned that I probably won't do that.
No.
It's too much.
No.
It really is. But you know what I'm thinking about doing is the auto train. I could drive about an hour to get to Lorton, Virginia.
Yeah.
Get on the auto train with my car.
Yeah.
And that takes you straight to Orlando.
Wow. Really? And how much does it cost to put your car on the auto train?
I haven't researched that yet.
You know, I mean, it can't be cheap.
Well, think about what it would cost you to rent a car while you're there.
Yeah.
Okay, and what gas would cost to get you down there if you drove?
I did, and I drove my Corvette down, and it cost at $40-some-odd each fill up. What did I do? 4 fill ups each way?
Yeah. Each way? You did 4 fill ups? Oh,
I think so, 3 to 4.
God, I was watching an old movie, some old movie from the 40s, where a guy pulls into a gas station, and the sign says 15 cents.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going, those were the days.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know what's interesting is wasn't one toll between here and there.
Yeah, no more.
Yeah.
No tolls on 95.
Yeah. It's like that vein that goes through the penis that's known as Florida. That's the way it always looked to me. I mean, Florida looked like a giant penis with a vein, I-95, going down the middle of it, okay? And then when you get to the bottom of the penis, the tip of the penis, you've got these jets of sperm coming out called the Florida Keys, and I used to call them the Florida Jizz. You know, I mean, it's just, really, the whole thing is a giant penis.
Yeah.
I think you ought to see a psychologist about this.
No, I needed to see a psychologist after living in that giant penis, okay? And when I would say this on the air, not exactly as I'm saying it now, but implying it, I would get death threats, literally, because I got to hate Florida very fast.
I'll tell you, that weather was so spectacular.
Yeah,
my God.
And that's nice, and then you get the fuck out of there. Don't stay there. Don't live there. Don't say this is a good life, because it's not.
When you retire, I don't know. I wouldn't. If I were you, you're living in the most expensive place.
Yeah. Well, who said I wanted to live here? It's my crazy wife that wants to live here.
There's no way.
Me
living in the cold.
Listen, I was talking in a couple of days. I'm going to have an interview, maybe tomorrow night, maybe the night afterwards. I already did it with this guy. He's 92 years old now, named Ted Randall, who's one of the first top 40 disc jockeys I ever heard in my life. Okay, he was the first radio consultant ever. Okay, first guy to do radio consultancy, and he's 92 now, and he lives in Victoria, Canada, British Columbia. And I said to him, so how do you like the health plan up there? He says, I'm 92. He says, I've had this problem, I've had that problem. He said, if I were in the United States and never left, I'd be dead by now. That's how good the medical system is up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went, well, maybe I should move to Canada, you know, or maybe I should. I would love to move to the country somewhere. I just love country, you know. I could see living in Vermont, for instance, but then the winter comes and you're up to your pupik in snow, you know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Pupik is a term I'm using for Jeff's edification.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Jeff and I and his lovely wife Pamela and somebody else. Oh, Marjorie. Marjorie went to lunch. We all went out to lunch the other day, you guys are great, by the way. We just enjoyed ourselves all to hell.
Yeah, we had a good time.
You know, and we went to a place called the Milling Room. It's good. The food's very good there, isn't it?
Yeah, and actually, you know, you go into restaurants and they all look the same.
Yeah.
This place, it was architecturally different. Apparently, it had been a different.
It was a hotel at one time.
A hotel.
Yeah, and this was like the lobby, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, and it was quite interesting, and the food was good, and the people were nice. Everything was, and we had a great time.
Yeah, so that's the most I've gotten out of the house in months. You know, I mean, I really, you know, I mean, we haven't been on a vacation since we got married, to tell you the truth, you know, and we really think we should, you know. It's about time. You know, you guys can get along without me for a couple of weeks, right? Yeah. How about a couple of months? But, you know, I mean, you know, we got to get out of here. Just got to do it, because New York City, I have no love for anymore. You know, when I first came to New York, when I was, 30, 29, 30, I had a love affair with this city.
Yeah.
And this was the kind of city that at that time, people could never understand a love affair with this city, because it was dirty, it was dangerous, it was everything, and it was wonderful. There was just something just vibrant about it. Now, have you? I don't know if you've done this, Rob or Jeff, but have you gone to Times Square lately?
Yeah. I mean, not in the last 8 months or a year, but it's like
it's
Toontown.
It's terrible. It's
I haven't been to Times Square.
Huh? You haven't? Oh well, go down there, Jeff. You will be absolutely surprised, because it used to. You know, I used to stand in Times Square and I used to look up at the lights, not the LED screens, but the lights of Broadway, and I would say, I'm in the center of the universe here. You know, the universe starts right here and radiates out of Times Square. And, yeah, sure, you got down to 42nd Street, and there were porno theaters, and there were hookers, and there were, but there was something about that was vibrant. It was alive. It you know, and in spite of, it was real.
Real.
Yeah.
And now it's all fake.
And now it's all fake. And what comes with all the fakeness? The tourists. You know, and you can't even walk through there. It's just this human traffic jam. The cars are moving faster than the people are, because the streets are easier to, you know, and by the way, they've done all that's one lane now through Broadway. Remember how it was like 3 lanes or something like that? Now it's 1 lane. The rest of it are places where people can sit outside and eat.
Yeah.
That's New York. I'm supposed to love that? You know. Well, you don't have to go there. Yeah, I'm up here in Harlem. And Harlem had a lot of flavor when we first got here, but now it's gentrifying, so it looks like every other neighborhood in New York City. So anyway. So we had some crime in our neighborhood today. There was some problem with a cop shooting some people or something, and they had a helicopter from the TV station flying over the street, hovering over the street. We were watching it on TV. We look out the window. There's the helicopter. You know, but that's the most that's happened in our neighborhood. You know, The first year we moved in, there were a couple of murders, and that was it. And then it gentrified. You know. Do you feel in danger when you come to my neighborhood, Jeff?
No.
No. You know.
No, not at all.
Yeah. There used to be a time you wouldn't even come into this neighborhood.
Well, that's true, but you know, I used to go there when I was like 5 years old because my grandma and grandpa owned a building there and lived there.
Yeah, but you see, that there was a time when this neighborhood wasn't dangerous. It was just black, basically.
It was black.
You know,
yeah.
But it wasn't dangerous. I mean,
that's true.
You know, and then it went through that period of being dangerous, like in the late 60s, 70s, 80s. It was, you know.
Yeah.
And this building was like one giant crack house. I mean, what they portrayed it as in New Jack City is exactly what it was, you know. But
I remember walking down the street, and next thing I know, there's somebody else has got their hands in my pants trying to get some money out of my pocket.
It turned out it was Michael Jackson. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be here all week. By the way, anybody watch that thing?
No.
Well, I did. Here's why I watched it, because Marjorie wanted to watch it. Okay? And I kind of felt guilty watching it because there was just something that wasn't right about it. Now, you know, maybe their story is true. I don't know. You know, they don't give any proof that these people are telling the truth. You know, because all the people around them, like people like Macaulay Culkin says, I never saw any of that going on. He never molested me. And, you know, at this point in his life, it wouldn't hurt Macaulay Culkin to come forward if it were true. But, you know, very few people came through with these allegations except for these two guys and the guy that sued, you know, took Michael Jackson to court. And by the way, these two people in his court trial when they were kids, younger, testified on Michael Jackson's behalf. So, you know, so you wonder how much of it is true and how much of it is not true. And if it is all true, is it... The guy isn't alive.
It's not fair.
He can't defend himself, and his family, who claim, well, we were never interviewed, probably never should have been interviewed because they were not witnesses to this.
No, they don't know him that well, really, if you think about it.
So what are you doing? You're beating up on a guy who's probably not going to take a legal action against you. The family is, but they're never going to even come close to getting $100 million out of HBO. I mean, HBO will just stonewall them, and most courts will say, look, this is a documentary. The main thrust of it was what happens when kids are molested and how do they turn out and what is the grief they go through and so on and so forth. And I think HBO will skate away from that clear. But if Michael Jackson were alive, he could take action against him. And if Michael Jackson were alive, they wouldn't have done the documentary.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Why? Because they'd know they could get sued by Michael Jackson.
They can't be sued by his estate, huh?
Well, they can be sued by his estate, but it's a lot more difficult to get anything out of it. You know? A live person who's, you know, okay. What's his name? The guy they just got, R. Kelly. Did you see that documentary?
Yes.
That was riveting, I will have to say. And the effect of that documentary is that the guy's been called to account for a lot of stuff. But he's alive. He can defend himself. And so if he doesn't like what was on that documentary, he had every right probably to be in that documentary and to deny it. All right? So there's that ability. So in that respect, I thought it was an honest documentary. Plus, there was so much irrefutable facts in that thing that you didn't think it was all just rumor and storytelling by people. But this, I felt, hey, he's been dead. What? He died in 1999, something like that? Am I wrong?
No idea.
It was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, if the story's true, I feel sorry for these kids. If it's not true, I feel sorry for Michael Jackson. And even if I feel sorry for them, and it is true, I still feel sorry for Michael Jackson because he grew up because people around him fucked him up. Okay?
Right.
The father fucked him up. The whole showbiz thing fucked him up. He grew up pretty fucked up, you know? So what else can I say but that? But I felt guilt. I kind of felt guilty watching it. I kind of wanted to go take a shower when I was through, you know? I just said I feel guilty. It's like I'm looking at them assailing a guy who can't defend himself, you know? And these kids may well have gone through this, and if they did, it was terrible. It was terrible of Michael to do it. But nevertheless, it was just something wrong about the way in which it was done. And if he were alive, they wouldn't do the documentary right now because we'll get sued by Michael Jackson. We can't do this, you know. I think they were very brave to do the R. Kelly thing because he is alive and he has a lot of money and he can do a lot of suing. And but the proof is in the pudding that I don't think he has even filed any kind of action against who was it, A&E or whoever it was that ran the R. Kelly documentary. So it's you know, it's kind of interesting. But that was the big thing this weekend, was the Leaving Neverland. Oh, and then Oprah did an hour with the two guys interviewing them, and she's being assailed for that.
She's a big Michael supporter.
She was,
yeah.
But in this interview, she comes out playing the game with these guys. So you know, yeah, it's really strange. It's really strange. Mm-hmm. And you know, sometimes there's one other thing when people die. Some people die, and the reaction to their death is not what you think it would be. And what's his name? The guy from 90210, Beverly Hills 90210.
What's his name?
How's my mind?
Bruce Lee, Jason.
Huh?
Luke Perry.
Luke Perry. I watch him every week on Riverdale. He plays Archie's father. And yet I never thought much about him. I mean, I was never, you know, a big, a major fan of I wasn't a fan of 90210. That was for damn sure. Mm-hmm. But I more than that, I wasn't big on 90210. But nevertheless, isn't it amazing the amount of coverage his death has gotten? So his impact on on America was larger than we ever thought it was. You know?
Was that because of him, or was that just because it happened to be the appropriate time?
Well, I mean,
he did some TV time.
You know, if somebody more important had died in the last couple of days, he probably would have been pushed off the front page. But all I'm saying is, a lot of times people die and you don't think, hey, they're just going to mention it and that's it and we're on with stuff. And then all of a sudden you realize that everybody's like mourning the death of this person. You know, and I think it has a lot to do with people mourning the passing of time. Yeah. Hey, I'm just getting a little bit older. If Luke Perry has died, and when I was a teenager, he was a heartthrob for me. Okay. I'm getting older too. I feel sad that I'm older. Could that be it?
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think of who this happened to recently that died, and everybody was just mourning them like crazy. And you went, did you ever think? I remember when Leonard Nimoy died, there was a lot of just news about it and people talking about it. And I think, again, that was another one of those cases of, hey, Leonard Nimoy died. That means I'm getting closer to the grave. Yeah. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but it's true. Mm-hmm. You know? But, here comes Tommy Yamaguchi. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Tommy Yamaguchi sees that the coast is clear. Hi, Tom. How are you? The coast is clear.
Happy Shrove Tuesday.
Oh, yes. This is Fat Tuesday. This is the day before Lent. Gee, I have to start fasting tomorrow. Oh no, I don't. I'm Jewish. let me forget about that then. I had it down on the calendar, start fasting, and now I don't have to.
So I decided to put on my father's Mardi Gras shirt.
Oh, really? That's very festive.
It is.
That actually looks like a soccer shirt is what it looks like.
Yeah.
For some
the Mardi Gras colors.
I don't know, some Irish gay team, I think, for the colors.
Well, he was Irish.
Yeah. I remember once I wore I had a soccer shirt. It was blue and white. And I wore it to the second level of the Eiffel Tower and sat in the restaurant, and nobody would serve me because my soccer shirt was the color of an opposing team. Oh. That's how the French are, those fucks. You know. So.
By the way, Michael Jackson died in 2009.
Okay, so I'm 10 years off. 2009, folks, I'm sorry.
10 years ago instead of 9 years
Yeah,
ago.
why did I think it was 2000? Why did I think it was 1999? Oh, well.
Well, it's a long time.
You know, I'm losing all track of time. I was trying to put things together, like when I was going to talk to this jock, Ted Randall. I was trying to remember when I went to KLAD in Klamath Falls and things like that, and the dates started eluding me. Hello, Ray Renati. He's there getting healthy.
Hello.
He's getting healthy. I trying to put things together, you know, in some
Just trying to get kicked out of the YMCA.
Yeah. What? You're trying to get kicked out of the YMCA?
Yeah.
Anyway, I was a member of the YWCA. Now,
really?
Yeah. Well, that was the better place to be of the two, so far as I was concerned. No, but what it was is I got made a member of the YWCA because I was a camp counselor for the YWCA. Yes, folks, I was a camp counselor, if you can imagine that. And so in order to be a camp counselor, I had to be a member of the YWCA. So they made me I don't know, honorary member or something of the YWCA. So your picture's freezing up every now and then, Ray. I think the YMCA's out to get you.
I probably have a bad connection.
Yeah, they're out to get you.
Yeah, that's like Yogi in charge of the picnic baskets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So listen, one of the more pervasive videos this week, and one of the ones I think I loved more than any other, was the picture of Donald Trump hugging the flag.
Oh God!
What did that man think he was doing? You know, and is that in its own way disrespecting the American flag?
Right.
Huh? What were you gonna say, Jeff?
Isn't there a certain rule that if a flag gets dirty,
you're
not supposed to clean it? You got to burn it.
You burn it. Yes. Yeah. Well, old flags. When you dispose of an American,
whoever in charge of that flag,
that
had Trump hanging all over it.
Yeah. And probably and probably
orange all over it.
Yeah, orange all over it. The thing is that you are supposed to. The proper thing to do is when a flag is tattered or no longer usable, you don't throw it in the garbage can. You don't put it in the shredder. You burn it. That's what you do with it. That's why when everybody was burning the American flag, I was going, but that's what you do with the American flag. That's how you get rid of them. I mean, I think it's silly. You should be able to throw it in the garbage, but you don't, you know.
Why can't you just throw it in the washer?
Either that or you turn it into a shirt for Tom here, you know.
I just cut it up and use it to wash my clothes.
I use it to wax, you know. I don't know. Have I ever owned an American flag? I don't think so. You know, I don't think I ever have.
I have a Texas flag.
I have a Texas flag.
Really? Why?
I retired from the comptroller's office. They gave me a flag of Texas that was hanging over the Capitol the day I retired.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How nice. I mean, that's nice that they did that. The flag was flying that day over the Texas Tower. Now the flag's here. Now, suppose two of you retired on the same day.
Well, let me amend that. I think all it was a flag that had flown over the.
Oh, okay.
Tower.
Okay.
Because you're right, there could have been more than one person retiring on June 29, 2009.
Also, they would have had to take the flag down and put another one up. And once that one was up, they'd probably have to take that one down to give to you, and then and put another one up. But once they got that one down, they'd have to take that one down to give to you. But then once they gave it to you, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
None of that works. Yes, Tom.
Actually, that's what they do at the U.S. Capitol. They have requests from constituents for a flag to flow over the Capitol. So there's like this full-time person running up flags for just a brief moment, bringing them down, and they fold them up and they send them to people.
Really?
Yes, really.
In the United States Capitol, or
the U.S. Capitol? Yes.
Wow. Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible. But anyway, so here you've got Donald Trump giving a speech to CPAC that is 2 hours and 2 minutes long. The longest speech he's ever given. And I started to think about it. I went, who do I know also that's a world leader that gives speeches that long? And I came up with names like Castro, Maduro, who was the guy before? Chavez, Hitler. Hitler, I think, used to give 2 hour speeches. Only dictators give 2 hour speeches. Yeah. Tom.
Chavez had that TV show where he would be on all day long, and people were sort of required to watch it if they were in the party. And it was like a variety show that starred him.
Yeah, yeah.
You ever see that?
Which show is it? Who was that? Who was that? Chavez, yeah.
Chavez.
I'm sure. I'm surprised he didn't have the Chavez dancing girls and stuff. You know,
he had all that stuff. He did.
The Chavettes,
and he would tell jokes and stories, and it would go on for hours.
Yeah. Yes, Tom.
Yeah, say that. Actually, I don't consider that a speech. It just he does monologues.
Yeah,
he goes up. He gives little performances, and
it's
it's
like
just
a one-man act.
Well, I'll tell you what. Tom, you're insulting comedy acts for starters.
Well, I said it was good.
And you're also and if you're not insulting comedy acts, you're insulting one-man shows. You know?
I mean, he wants to be a one-man show. I mean, you know, that's basically his shtick.
He thinks he's funny.
He does these monologues, and for the people that for his cult, they love it. They eat it all up.
Yep.
You know.
Now, the people who were in that room, were they sticking around, or was any of them leaving? Were they getting tired of it?
They loved it.
They loved it.
The word was that people started leaving, and that's why he said that people didn't leave.
Wow!
I heard they loved it.
You heard they loved it? Where'd you hear they loved it?
Oh, on the news, I heard that he riveted the crowd.
I heard he was almost incoherent.
Well, absolutely, but they loved that.
Well, no, we're getting into that point where it's the ramblings of a madman. You know.
Getting?
Well, I'm being nice here.
We're talking about the campaign when he was rambling.
Oh, boy. I just don't understand why anybody thinks this guy is a good idea. In fact, I don't understand how Republicans in general can even countenance this guy being the head of his party. Yeah, let's see here. I think Jeff had his hand up first, and then Tom. Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, maybe we have the same thing.
Probably.
I think the Republicans are afraid of him.
Mm-hmm.
You really do. What can he do to them?
Primary him.
Well, no, primaries are over. Okay, next time there's anything close to a primary, there's anything close to elections locally for these guys, it's probably, I would say it's 2020.
Yeah.
You know, I think what they're worried about is their constituency.
Yeah.
You know, Today he came out with a tweet saying survey said that 95% of Republicans approve of me, which is not true. The number I saw was in the 60s somewhere, But he's passing these, these rumors around, so that's our boy. Yeah. Here comes Josh Wheeler. Hello, Josh.
Hello.
Yeah. Did you hear about this 95% approval rating for Trump among Republicans?
Is that among Republicans or something?
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
You think it's 95%? I don't think so. I think I heard it being far less than that. Yes, Tom.
Yeah, it's probably that, but we also kept remembering that the percentage of Republicans as far as the electorate goes is just constantly, it has been declining.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only about maybe a third, 36% of the people who are registered are registered Republicans. But just getting back to what Jeff was saying, yeah, they're definitely afraid of being primaried, and there's always an election coming up around the corner, and so they're definitely afraid of that. But I would also add the fact is they love him because he's given them the goodies they want. I mean, he's given them their big tax break, and even more than that, he's giving them court justices.
Yeah.
He's given them 2 Supreme Court justices right now. They love it for that. They don't care if he can't get his agenda through Congress. They'll just give him that. Now we'll see what happens with this vote on the resolution to stop his emergency declaration.
Yeah.
Word up here is that Rand Paul says he's got 10 Republican votes on his side. That's pretty significant if that actually happens.
10 Republican votes on his side. Where in the Senate?
Against with the Democrats, so siding
with the Democrats.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think the Senate already voted, didn't they?
No, House voted.
But somebody said that the Senate was leaning towards denying the emergency.
Right.
Right. I mean, what's happened is they need something like 4 votes, and they've got 3 or 4 votes. They've got those votes.
Yeah.
But it looks like they might have more. Now, they don't have enough to override a veto.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. They can't. He'll veto it, and it'll go back, and they won't be able to ride it. But the fact that if they get as many votes as that's going to be a significant.
Well, if he vetoes it, I think they can take it to the Supreme Court, can't they?
Yeah,
I'm sure it's going to the Supreme Court anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how's he going to win when somebody says, even the president himself says, well, really, he didn't need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
yeah.
I mean, he said that.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think even the most conservative justice would say, well, if you didn't need it, why'd you do it?
Right.
Yeah. What? And here,
State of emergency, and then he goes and plays golf.
well, you know what? He wastes our time a lot. Like, remember all the troops he sent down to the border? How much did that wind up costing us?
Yeah.
And what did it serve? Nothing. Now he's going to do this.
Political.
He went to Hanoi, which at least finally he went to Vietnam. He went to Hanoi and came back with absolutely nothing. And nothing happened there either. They had lunch basically, and that was it.
Well,
and how much money did that cost us just in the gas for Air Force One alone? Yes, Tom.
Well, and also while they were there, they found out that the North Koreans had created another underground nuclear facility.
Yes, as a matter of fact,
that things pretty much too.
That came out today. No, that came out today. They aren't doing it underground. They actually have pictures now of them moving stuff into place to shoot up some more rockets. And they think he's going to do that to say to Trump, "Fuck you."
Mm-hmm.
But they say he's getting ready to shoot some more missiles.
Mm-hmm.
They keep saying, well, yeah, he can shoot a missile and is capable of hitting the west coast of the United States. And you go, ooh, that's scary. The fact is, though, it'll never get there because before it even gets here, it's going to be shot out of the skies. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, we can defend ourselves against some kind of puny missile he's sending over here.
Hopefully.
I think I'm not that worried about it. So, yes, Ray.
Well, I think the problem is, though, then it puts us in a position of okay, do we retaliate? Do we not retaliate? It puts us in a really bad position, even if we're able to shoot it out of the sky. You know.
Well, you got to shoot it out of the sky if it's coming towards you.
No.
You know.
No. Of course, you have to shoot out of the sky, but then we have to make the decision: do we leave it at that? Then what do we do? You know, do we shoot one at them?
That's what would have to happen.
That's the problem. Yeah, see, that's the scary thing. Then you got World War III on your hands.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you got World War III.
Maybe not.
You don't have World War III on your hands because he doesn't have enough missiles to fight with us.
Yeah, but other countries.
No, not him, but other countries would get involved.
No, but I don't think other countries. If we shot down the missile, which we're capable of doing in midair, we're not shooting it over North Korea or anything like that. We're just simply shooting down the missile, and I don't think anybody would blame us for that, even Russia or China or anybody else.
I don't know about that.
But people might attack North Korea, and then China would have to get involved and defend North Korea.
Well, yes. That's why we're never going to go attack North Korea unless North Korea attacks us, and then it's provoked. You know, the only problem with a small country like North Korea is you got a tin horn leader who thinks he's really bigger than he is, although he's quite large, bigger than he is. Who then will do something really stupid, believing that, and then cause some kind of situation in which we got to defend ourselves or we've got to go in and attack them, and then we got China attacking. It could start a world conflict, but because this guy is doesn't know where he's at, you know? And that's where he's dangerous. But I think that if he tried to shoot a missile towards us and it was coming towards us and we shot it down, I don't think anybody would blame us for shooting it down.
No.
You know, it's a perfectly reasonable response.
Not shooting it down, but
to retaliate.
No, if we retaliated by shooting a missile at North Korea, then we would have problems. But if all we were doing was shooting down the missile, and then saying to the world, look, he tried to shoot a missile at us, well, then you've got China on his ass, and you've got a whole bunch of other people on his ass, and they're not going to put up with that. You know, I mean, I don't think China's a yes man for North Korea, but they become an apologist for them. You know, so I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Josh?
Well, I mean, I think I don't think we'd be in any trouble if we took steps to defend against an incoming attack. But I just think what everyone would be, they're probably correct. What they'd be worried about is what happens after that. I mean, if North Korea decided to invade South Korea, for example, or whatever, right after, or use a lot of his short-term ballistic missiles that he's believed to have, or pretty much known to have, that don't necessarily carry nuclear warheads or warheads over a long period, but certainly short enough to get them into South Korea, kill a lot of South Koreans, who were pledged to defend, and not just South Koreans, but I mean, there are other people in the region he could attack too. But I think that would probably be the main worry. But I think everybody's right. I mean, what Trump does is when he puts things on such a bad footing, he doesn't help anything. I think we all know that. It just agitates the situation. I mean, he's not any kind of a peacemaker or a deal maker. I mean, come on, no one believes that anymore. That was all made for TV, bullshit. I mean.
And I think a lot of people do believe that, though.
Yeah. That's. I guess among us, I suppose. So yeah, you're right. That's not a good statement. I mean, that's the problem, though. I mean, is the fact that you are right. There are a lot of people who probably still believe that, outside of a group like this. I mean, and that's what allowed that to happen.
Well, he said that he walked away from the deal, and even a lot of Democrats have lauded him for that, saying they fully expected he would make any deal that had to be made. My feeling is he didn't walk away from the deal. Kim Jong-un walked away from the deal.
Yes.
And then he came back and in true Trump fashion said, well, Kim Jong-un walked away from the deal. Yes, Tom.
I was saying, actually what the Democrats were saying is they were relieved because they were afraid he was going to give away the store. So, I mean, this is making the best of an otherwise terrible situation.
Yeah.
But the one thing also that you have to keep in mind is this has been a big boost for Kim Jong-un. I mean, just the fact that he's gotten this platform with the most powerful person in the world has boosted him. So he's happy to get this boost to take back to his country. So, I mean, Trump has just handed this to him, and what do we get in return? Nothing.
Well, what he's done is he's given Kim Jong-un exactly what he wanted, and that is a primary place on the world stage, which wouldn't normally be given to someone who has a country that small with that few people. I mean, they only have about 15 million people in North Korea. So consequently, it puts him on the world stage in a place where normally somebody of a country that size and a population that large would not be placed. I just think that Kim Jong-un is a bit stupid because it would do him a lot of good if he toned down the rhetoric and up the come on into our country, come say hello, come see how wonderful Korea is. And he's got like a whole area there that, Trump even mentioned it because I think he wants to build a hotel there. There's a thing called the North Korean Riviera, which is very nice. It's a very nice place for a vacation spot. I saw a documentary that Michael Palin did about his trip to North Korea. And it was very eye-opening because you see North Korea in a way you don't normally see it. Yes, it's poor, it's destitute. Pyongyang is looks wealthy, looks prosperous, but you get out of there and it's a pretty sad mess. But you get to that Riviera, it's very nice, and they should be wanting to have a lot of people coming in on vacation and hanging out in Korea. But he's not taking advantage of that. Yes, yes. Go ahead, Ray. I can't hear you.
Muted.
You're muted. You're muted, Ray.
I know.
Oh. Oh, he's afraid of being thrown out by the YMCA police.
There now.
Okay.
So it works. Yeah, I saw a documentary once where they have a ski area in North Korea, and it's absolutely beautiful, pristine, like perfect, and nobody is there. The only people that were skiing there were the documentary.
What was very funny,
it's top notch,
is Michael Palin.
There.
Michael Palin had to catch this plane to go to some other place in Korea, and there was only one plane that came into this airport every day. And when he got to the airport, it was this brand new airport they had built with all the modern facilities and people at all the things like the information booth and so on, but nobody but him in the entire airport.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It was almost like he was doing a Monty Python routine, I mean, it was very silly, very silly. But they do that, Yeah. So, the thing about this documentary that impressed me was it actually is a very beautiful country. But the problem they have with it is something like 70% of it is mountains. And so they can't grow crops where there are mountains. And that's why they go through all these starvation and so on, because all they can do is grow it on flat land. And then there they've had floods and things like that. So they've had nothing but problems. They could use an influx of tourism and people coming. But nobody's going to come to a country where they think they can get arrested at any moment. So, that doesn't bode well.
I almost think that kind of, we prove our own point here, because we also prove the reason that it's almost senseless to try to negotiate with someone like that, because you say, and I agree, any normal person would say, yeah, they should be open for business, right? They should do business with the world because it would benefit them. They could become wealthy. I mean, I believe that's the only reason Trump cares anyways. He wants people to go on vacation in North Korea and stay in a Trump hotel. I mean, but even besides that point, yeah, they should let the world in, and you should come stay in their hotels and along their coastline and ski there and do it. And that would be great. And that is what a rational person would want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But isn't that just proof, the fact that they walled themselves off from the... He's not a rational person that you're dealing with, the leader of North Korea.
Okay.
Rather than prosper and get along with the world, he would rather isolate himself and weaponize. That's not a rational...
Well, he is
power.
He is irrational only because he was brought up in an atmosphere of irrationality.
Sure.
And, it's a family-run business that he took over, and he only knows one way to run it, and that's the way he was taught. Although it would be easier for us to win him over to our side because he did study where? In Switzerland or London or someplace like that. His father sent him out of the country when he went to school. So he knows Western life and probably knows how to speak English pretty damn well, but doesn't want to speak it when he's dealing with negotiations. He was raised as an abused kid. He was raised to believe that life was this way for him because he was a Kim. And you got to know that some craziness is going to come out of that. What are you going to do about that? So
there's a paranoia about remaining in power.
Oh yeah.
So that's part of it too. You don't want to open up too much. You don't want the people. You want the people to believe the shit that they believe about the Kim family. I mean, they don't believe that he defecates. They don't believe it.
And you know something? It looks like he doesn't.
I mean, it's... I just got that. It just hit me.
One shit, and that guy would be as thin as you are, or I am. As thin as Ray is, okay? That's what we'll use as the yardstick. What I saw in this documentary that Palin did, and it was a very good documentary because he didn't go in to do a hit piece on North Korea. He wanted to see what it was like and show his audience what it was like in reality. And he didn't make any pretense about the fact that it wasn't a closed country and there were things you couldn't say and things that people couldn't do. But he had handlers, and he went out to the country with one of these handlers, and they took a hike out in the country. Beautiful place. I can't remember where it was exactly. But it was in one of the mountainous regions of a very mountainous country. And they're sitting there, and he's just talking with her because there's nobody around except he and his cameras, all right? And he started kind of delving into the mindset that she had as a North Korean. And she was a handler, so she had a very good job. And she was doing propaganda, basically. And he said to her, how do you look upon, why don't you criticize Kim Jong-un? And she said, Kim Jong-un is North Korea. I am a North Korean. If I insult or put down Kim Jong-un, I'm putting myself and my people down. That was her thinking about it. And if you think about it in that mindset, you begin to understand where they're coming from. You don't agree with it, but you know where they're coming from. That an insult to Kim would be an insult to your fellow man who you live with,
They sound like Trump supporters.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. That's why Trump and Kim get along so well. They have a bromance.
So I was at this party on Saturday in Tampa, and there seemed to be a lot of Trump supporters there. One of the guys showed up at the party, must have been about, I don't know, 2:30 in the afternoon, and nobody was talking politics, especially people avoid the whole Trump story. And he said, I don't know if you guys want to discuss politics or not, if you're comfortable with it, but our president today, I just saw him. He was on television from the CPAC conference, and he used the word bullshit.
He did.
On television multiple times. And I thought he was going to chastise him for it. And so I just shook my head like, yeah, that's our president. And then he said, I think it's refreshing. I love it.
Oh, well, then if you think it's refreshing, try this one on. Trump's full of bullshit.
Yeah, no kidding.
Isn't it amazing the excuses they'll make for the man?
Yeah,
if Obama had used the word bullshit, we would have never heard the end of it.
Yeah.
Hugging the flag, it's all theatrics.
It's scary. It's scary. I mean, what's scary about it isn't so much Donald Trump as the fact that there are people that follow Donald Trump. There are people who voted for Donald Trump, that there are people who agree with Donald Trump, and that this is the kind of thing, you wonder how the common German became a Nazi. Mm-hmm. Ta-da! Mm-hmm. And you don't see it coming, and it comes very slowly, but when it finally comes, you've got a whole population that's going, we love Trump, MAGA all the way.
You're hearing more and more people who are, and I know Bill Maher started this about a year ago, but you're hearing more and more people say that if Donald Trump loses in 2020, it's not going to be easy to get him out of the White House. He's going to contest it. He's going to call it fixed. He is not going to go away quietly.
Well, he's got to lose by such a large margin that it's impossible for him to argue it. But, you could be right. Yes, Tom.
Well, getting on to that, I mean, he lost the popular vote by 3 million, and he just declared them illegal votes, so he gets around that pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just going to say, I think a lot of the problem is the tendency to want to normalize the situation. I mean, to say the fact that the Democrats are overreaching or overreacting. I mean, like, we have not had, in my lifetime, an administration as corrupt, I mean, and doing blatantly illegal stuff. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it. I mean, it makes sense to have these investigations. We should have been having them for the past 2 years, except that, as we said earlier, the Republicans were in charge, and they just let him go and do anything they want. They want to normalize it, and that's the I hate to say the cliche slippery slope, but that's what it is. I mean, it sort of allows us to accept, what he's doing is okay, is normal. Everybody does it. That's a part of the propaganda.
Yeah.
So I was watching CNN today, and they kept interviewing. They were like, there was one guy kept running up in the halls of the Senate and talking to different Republican senators, asking them about whether or not they would want to set up some sort of investigation to look into what we now know are illegal campaign contributions while he was in office. Not one Republican said, well, it's not in my top 5. It's not something I would look at. And when pressed on it, like, well, let me ask you this. If this were a Democrat, if this were Hillary and this happened, or let's just talk about the fact that he is ramming security clearances down his family's throats, his daughter and his son-in-law, against everybody. If Hillary had given Chelsea and Chelsea's husband security clearances, the Republicans would go apeshit, and they just, it's okay. They don't care. They talk around those points. They're just as complicit.
Yeah. Well, these people are not, haven't been brought in as anybody of power. They've just been brought in, I imagine, as consultants, right? Basically. I mean, that's
You're talking about his family?
Yeah, I'm talking about guys like Jared, for instance. What's his job?
But the point is, he's still actively raising money for his father's business for 666 7th Avenue or 5th Avenue, whatever it is. That building is failing.
Yeah.
He's out. He's got the security clearances. He's in the government, and yet he's still working in private sector. It's unethical.
By the way, I just want to mention something quickly. Not having Phil here tonight, I feel like we're a bunch of people who are being allowed to swim naked in a lake.
That's fun.
You know, that kind of freedom you feel when, you know, we aren't sitting around having somebody go, oh, no. It's, you know, to make all the standard excuses that people make for Trump. Today I went over to Fox, watched Fox for a couple of minutes, and I just went, it's like a different world over here. You know, it's like they are looking, they will, he's right. If he shot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, they'd make an excuse for it. Well, the guy wasn't moving fast enough. I don't know, whatever. You know, they were excusing everything. And of course, anything the Democrats did was all wrong. Yes, Tom?
Well, did you hear that I actually killed the story about the payoffs?
Yeah, they had it.
Yeah, they had the story in October of 16. And the story was killed because Rupert Murdoch wanted Trump get elected.
What payoffs?
The payoffs to Stormy Daniels and the woman from Playboy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or whatever her name was, I've forgotten. But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, they had the story and they killed it.
Well, you see that what's so wrong about that is they're a news organization. And you just shouldn't allow yourself to do that, even if you're on the other side. You know?
Well, there's no more. In the old days, the networks would have to contend with the FCC, who could mess with their renewals for their television stations, cause them all kinds of problems. Who is the governing body to keep them on track?
Here's the biggest problem that we have is that there was a time when news did not make a network money.
No.
Okay? It was a loss leader, but it was a loss leader they pointed to and said, look at our news division. Isn't that wonderful? CBS took great pride of it and for years never made any money off of it. Hell, you know. Ed Murrow, who did some of the greatest documentaries for CBS, was a loss leader for them. They never made a penny off of Murrow. And now there's money in the news. And when there's money in the news, you're going to make all kinds of compromises in order to make that money and to not screw the pooch. And that goes for both sides. It goes for Fox. It goes for MSNBC. I mean, I'm so sick of MSNBC these days that I could puke because all I'm doing is it's the same story. It's the same mantra over and over and over again. Nobody's looking to discover anything. Nobody's looking to find the truth in a given situation. They immediately take a side and then they doggedly stick to it, and program after program they keep talking about it over and over and over again. And I really, and this, where do you go to get decent news?
I still think CNN and the 6:30 news on the networks.
Yeah, but even here's what gripes me about the 6:30 news. For instance, we always watch NBC. Lester Holt's over. They have a tornado. They send Lester Holt out to where the tornado is. Maybe they're hoping he'll die or something. I don't know. But he goes out to where the tornado is, and now he's interviewing somebody who lost their child in the tornado the day before. And everything he was doing was trying to make them cry.
Yeah.
He was trying to elicit that crying out of them. Like, do you miss her? Questions like that. Of course they miss her, you asshole. And I just thought it was absolutely cruel journalism. And that's what bothers me about the 6:30 news. And what also bothers me about the 6:30 news is you get 15 minutes of news and then 15 minutes of fluff. You know?
Yeah, but at least it's not an alternate universe like like Fox can be.
They try to seem not taking any side about anything. You know, they try to be even-handed, but it's still not very good journalism, even if they're trying to be non-judgmental. Yes, Ray.
I know it's a hassle, but I have found that Al Jazeera to be the best. I'll just say that and get off it.
Well, Al Jazeera isn't on anymore. Wait a minute, you're breaking up on us. Al Jazeera isn't on in this country any longer.
I watch it on the internet.
Yeah.
I watch it on the internet.
Yeah. And how are they? How do you feel?
It's a hassle, though. Really even-handed and fair. Really good.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, I could say the BBC was pretty good too, but there's a lot on the BBC that I just don't even care about. You know, here's what's happening in the Sudan and Africa today. Here's our half hour of African news today. I don't care. Okay, because
we as Americans don't care.
Well, no, I was taught when I was taking journalism, and I think anybody who ever took journalism got this lecture, and that is that all news is proximity. Proximity is very important.
That's right.
You know, people care more, as somebody said, about the dead cat outside the front window than they do about a dead baby in Guatemala. You know, because it's something that's right here and now, and so I kind of agree with that philosophy, you know, that all news is proximity. And the trouble with the BBC is it loses that proximity, you know. But I do enjoy them. I do think they are more even-handed, shall we say, about most things. So
yeah, PBS is pretty good. But, I mean, PBS's news every night, the PBS NewsHour is really good.
Yeah.
But it goes to the point that you're saying, but it's very dry, and it's just the straight, this is the news. So I guess if people say, well, I don't like that, well, then that goes to what you were saying earlier as to where they want their news with some jazz, you know?
You know, I think actually where I would go if I thought about it would be to, say, someplace like YouTube or wherever where I could just get the news clips, and then I could watch the clips, and I could then make up my own mind, rather than watching the clip and having somebody then interpret it for the next 10 minutes.
That's what I do because I don't have the TV, CNN, and all that. I just watch the clips on YouTube.
Yeah. Where do you go?
Saves time.
Where do you go for your news, Tom?
Well, PBS NewsHour, as Josh said. I do listen to NPR a lot. I do enjoy listening to the BBC. You know, the BBC is available on the Sirius XM app. Mm-hmm. I also, KQED here broadcasts BBC News. I listen that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I get a lot of news online. But I gave up on the cable news networks a long time ago. My main beef with all of them that are politically, focused is the fact that I mean that they're very shallow. All they talk about is American politics, and what's really frustrating about MSNBC is it validates the Fox News premise that all news is biased. So, like when Fox News came on, they said they were coming with the conservative philosophy that all news was biased to the left, right?
Right.
So so I always interpreted their fair and balanced mantra to be, we're being fair, we're being fair to the right, and therefore we're providing the balance of broadcasting our point of view that isn't being broadcast by the other side. So what does MSNBC do? It says, okay, well, they're right-wing news, we'll be left-wing news.
Yeah.
And so once again, they're validating that premise that there is a bias in news. Now, certainly everybody has a bias, right? The professional journalist works to counteract that bias and look for facts that contradict it, and evaluate and present what the audience needs to know, regardless of what that person's bias is.
Okay, let me for a moment say to you that the thing that I guess bothers me is it used to be that those newscasts during the day were newscasts. Okay, mm-hmm. They told you what the news was. They ran different news stories. The idea of 24 hours, 7 days a week of news. At nighttime, you had the commentaries. You had the people who had the opinion. Mm-hmm. Okay, and those were the opinion programs. Slowly, all of that has changed, and if you look at a place like MSNBC, it's opinion all day long. Okay, I go over to Fox. I got to say this. Occasionally, I bump into one of their news programs that is an opinion. That's just reporting the news. I know that sounds strange, but like, for instance, Brett Baer is basically news and isn't sitting there expressing his opinion. What's his name? The other guy they love over there.
Smith.
What's his name?
Shepard Smith.
Shepard Smith, right. Shepard Smith is as even-handed a news reporter as you can find in the business. I mean, if any outfit is maybe even-handed at times, it's Fox. And I know that sounds strange, but it's true, you know.
Yeah. Well, the times I watch Fox is actually when, our local TV station in Oakland, KTVU, is actually a Fox affiliate.
Yeah.
And so I'll see Fox News through their, I watch the evening news mostly to watch, for local news and weather. Mm-hmm. But I'll watch their correspondents deliver pretty straight news. I remember one year I watched State of the Union with Obama that was being hosted by Chris Wallace.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty straight up,
Well, I just find that occasionally when I tune into Fox, I'm not getting opinion like I'm getting on MSNBC. I mean, some of their shows seem to come across as just straight news shows. Mm-hmm. Like today, I think there was a big story, and they did report it, all of them, but they didn't report it to the extent that it should have been reported, and that's the vaccine story. They held a hearing in Washington about the measles vaccine. And they had this one kid who was very articulate who got up and talked about the fact that his mother didn't want him to get the vaccine, so he overrode her, and on the side, without her knowing it, went and got the vaccine because he didn't want to get the measles. Mm-hmm. And the mother didn't want him to have the measles vaccine because she had read people like Jenny McCarthy, that cunt, saying that it causes autism. Now, an international report came out studying, I think it was 200,000 kids in Norway or wherever. I mean, an amazing, huge study that said there is no correlation between vaccines and autism. Absolutely none. In fact, in this study, they found that among the people that had the vaccine, the measles vaccine, there was less autism. Mm-hmm. So really, the whole autism thing has been disproven, not just this time, but in several other studies.
Yeah.
And yet mothers like this kid's mother, and because she probably listens to the cunt, Jenny McCarthy, who has made more kids sick than healthy, say that it causes autism. And it purely doesn't. And the kid got up in front of Congress and said, I disobeyed my mother, and I went and got the vaccine, and everybody should get the vaccine because too many kids are getting the measles, because people aren't vaccinating their kids. At what point does the government step in and say, hey, listen, you got to get the vaccine, unless you got a religious reason to not get the vaccine. Well, you got to have the vaccine.
Schools can do it. You can't attend school unless you're vaccinated.
Mm-hmm. But you can fight it by saying, I have a religious objection to this. And they'll say, well, I guess then your kid can come to school. But the fact is, the kids come to school with the measles and everybody else gets it because they didn't get the vaccine.
Yeah.
And I think really, if you're going to have your kid in school, I mean, if there's a controversial vaccine, but the measles vaccine has never been controversial.
It's been working for years.
You know, except you had people like Jenny McCarthy spreading these blatant lies that it caused autism. And it clearly didn't, never did, you know? So, I mean, what do you do about these people? You know, what do you do about this? And how do you solve the problem? And here we got Congress holding hearings on the thing. Why do we even have to waste our time? I got vaccinations when I was a kid. Why? So I wouldn't get the diseases that they were vaccinating me against. You know, we didn't have a measles vaccine back in those days, so I got the measles. You know? Yeah. But you know, I mean, come on. I get every shot possible. You know.
Have you gotten the vaccine for what's the shingles?
Shingles.
Have you gotten that?
Yeah, I've gotten it. Yeah, I've gotten both of them.
Did it make you sick?
No. I had one, and then they got a hold of me the next time it was time for me to get another one. They said, you know, the shingles vaccine, especially I think the second one, very hard for them to lay their hands on. So when they do, they call you and say, come on in. If you want it, you got to get it within the next 24 hours because we're going to give it to somebody else. So we went and got our second shingles shot, and I never got sick off of it. I don't remember getting sick off of it.
I've heard people say they've gotten sick from it because my doctor wants me to get it.
No, I would do it. I would do it. I got shingles once. You don't want it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah. Yes, Tom.
Biggest problem with getting a shingles vaccine is getting the insurance company to pay for it.
Really?
I had a problem. I had another friend had even a more problem. I mean, he was with, I think it was Anthem Blue Cross. He had a real difficult time to get his. He finally did. He succeeded in getting insurance to cover the shot, but for some reason they don't want to do it.
Mine covered it without any problem at all.
Yeah. Well, things have changed since then.
Well, no, I have Medicare. So
how often do you need that? Is it just a one-time thing?
No, you get once, and then you have to get it about a year later, something like that.
No, I mean once you've gotten the 2 shots.
Oh, I think you're set for life.
For life.
Yeah, I would imagine. I don't know. Maybe another 10 years, something like that. But it's a long period of time. That I do know. Have you gotten the shingles shot at all, Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think I've had a second.
I've gotten the shingles.
Yet.
I've gotten the shingles. I've gotten the pneumonia, and that's all been when I've gotten my flu shots. I've gotten those other things too. So, boy, did my arms hurt. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But I just think that parents who believe, you see, I mean, what it is, it's the internet. You know, we think the internet is this wonderful blessing, and what it is a massive amount of misinformation. And these parents are not getting their kids vaccinated because they read online unverified material that your kid will get autism if you give them a shot. And of course a parent's going to respond to that because if they don't know better, they care about their child, you know.
Absolutely.
Yes, Tom.
I say this is one of the weird intersections where the extreme left and the extreme right end up in the same camp. You'll find the anti-vaxxers in both, you know, people who are real far on the left and people really far on the right. You know, it's like...
Is it the far fringes of either of those, though, that are the anti-vaxxers?
The anti-vaxxers are both of those.
Well, then what they are is they're people who are zealots. Okay? I mean, if you're far to the left and really far to the right, you're a zealot. And so you're going to be a zealot about anything, and you're going to find out something about vaccinations, and you're going to become a zealot about it, whether you're left or whether you're right. It's not a left or right issue.
It should be, but it's become one.
Is it? I mean,
they make it into one.
I mean, I think I could.
It's like climate change. I mean, climate change should not be a left-right issue either. I mean, it's a scientific issue.
Well, who was I saw Rand Paul at one of these at this hearing, and he said that he felt that the government saying you had to get the shot was wrong, but and that as a doctor, I mean, he goes out and he gets these shots for himself. But he said that he doesn't believe the government should be in the business of doing this sort of thing. You know,
No, I disagree.
and he doesn't believe the government should do anything, huh?
Yeah, he's a libertarian.
He's a libertarian, right? And so it's pretty ridiculous that the people won't vaccinate their kids because they're harming other kids by not doing it,
Right.
and that's the basic thing. But then you got these Jenny McCarthy's running around, passing out just bogus information, bogus science. And if you're a parent, you don't know what to do. Yes, Tom.
Why just say, well, Jenny McCarthy? I mean, even Donald Trump is an anti-vaxxer, isn't he?
I don't think so.
He hangs out with Alex Jones and all them. Yeah.
Well, Alex Jones is not. Trump doesn't hang. Does he hang out with Alex Jones? I don't think he's in the Alex Jones camp. I know that Stone was. But I don't know that Trump is an anti-vaxxer particularly. I don't. Between you and me, to be very honest, I don't think Donald Trump has an opinion about anything. I really don't. I think Donald Trump takes a side that he thinks is going to benefit him, and that's it. He doesn't. Yeah. He is as agnostic politically as you can possibly get. And he ran as a conservative because he saw that as the empty spot. Mm-hmm. He didn't see it on the other side. And he saw it as the people he could grab. But I don't think he has any politics. Does anybody here believe he does? Well,
I think he gives a rat's ass about religion and God and churches or any of that.
Yeah, no.
He's just...
Listen,
they're gullible.
He's one of the first presidents I can remember in recent times that doesn't go to church on Sundays.
Yep.
They all went to church on Sundays, even if they didn't like going, just to look good. So anyway.
He plays golf.
Yeah. Hey, listen, this has been nice, and as I say, it's like swimming naked. We felt the freedom to say what we had to say and go anywhere we had to go with this thing and not be dragged and kicking and screaming in any particular direction. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. And it's another night that Skype is still working. I figured out how the new Skype works, but it's going to be so much trouble to put it together and to get it on the screen. I can do it. But it's a hot mess. It really is. But I finally figured out how you put together a citizen panel. Of course, I'll have to put all of you in a list ahead of time, and Gabnet will show up on your Skype. But it's just.
So that means you have no ability to get new callers.
Well, if I get a new caller, I guess hang up on them, and then I call them back and add them to the group. Okay, it can be done. It's all more clumsy, and to create a panel on the screen is even clumsier because I can't use the Skype to do it. I have to use a whole bunch of programming to put different pictures on the screen of each of you. It's a mess. But I'll do it if I have to do it that way. We'll basically just talk to each other and hope that we get the video out. Anyway, I want all of you to say goodnight. Charlie, thank you so much for being with us. Rob, a pleasure as usual. Ray Renati, great. Josh, love having you here. Jeff. And Tom, the coast is clear, You can call for the next 2 weeks and not have any fear of retribution. Your family will not be endangered in any way. So anyway, everybody, give a big wave goodbye to the audience out there. So they can know that you love them and that you care about them. And I'll wave back. And there we go. There they go. There. We've lost them now. They're off for the night. I will hang up on them rudely and make the lines available for the intersection with Jack Bishop, which follows immediately. Next on most of these same Gabnets tomorrow night, hey, it's the sports show, The Arena, at 8:30 Eastern Time. And then at 9:30, Damien's back. And then I'll be back again tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life at 10 o'clock. And in the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye.